Good evening. Welcome to the gathering at Forestville's Education Department's fourth virtual education corner. I'm excited tonight because we have a very special team of educators. You will love them like I do. And before we really begin, I want each one to take just a few seconds and introduce themselves, because the TGAF family may know who you are, but there may be other parents who'll be viewing and do not have a clue who we are. So I'm going to begin. I'm the moderator. My name is Dr. Deborah J. Holmes, and I'm proud to be a part of the education department at the gathering at Forestville. And I'm going to go to who I call Mika next.
Hi, everybody. I am Mrs. Tameca Wood, and I am a passionate educator and also proud to be a member of the gathering at Forestville. And I have served in education for the past 14 years, and all things reading development, that's where my heart is.
All right. Deseree, excuse me.
No worries. Good evening, everyone. I'm also a member of the Gathering of Forestville. I'm an early childhood educator, but also I'm entered to a new role this school year as the inclusion special education teacher for early childhood. So I'm stepping out of the classroom. I've been in the field of education for over 10 years. It's probably like my 13th year so far, probably more, but I am really pleased to be here this evening, and welcome.
Oh, great. And last but not least, Ms. Jocelyn.
Good evening, everyone. I am Ms. Jocelyn Lay. I am the educator in Baltimore County Public Schools. This is my 5th year with BCPS. I'm also a proud member of the gathering at Forestville. I am excited to be with you ladies tonight. In addition to me being a theater arts teacher, this year I am stepping into the mentor teacher role. So I'm excited about that. I'm still in my classroom though.
Once a teacher, always a teacher. I know one thing, we have a wealth of information tonight, and I'm excited to get started. Our topic tonight is so very important with all that the students have been through, the parents have been through, and not to mention what the teachers have been through for the last year and a half at least. The topic tonight, navigating a return to an in-person learning from the perspective of an educator. So I will be asking each one of you questions, and each one will have an opportunity to answer the same question. So part 1 will be 3 questions, and I'm going to start off the same way you introduced yourself. And the very first question in this forum goes like this. Ms. Tameca,
Yes, Mom.
how does this 2021 school year, return to school, look different to you?
I think when as I thought about this question, to prepare to return myself, one of the most important things for me to do entering the school year is to attend to healing. When you process a person that was in a car accident, or you process someone who was recovering from a surgery, the reality is we honor the time that it takes to recover after trauma, right? After your body has experienced trauma. And I think it could be very easy to skate past that when we're back in the school context. And so for me, the utmost priority is to recognize that the season of COVID has been a punch in a lot of different ways to all of us. And the first priority as an educator is just to attend to the healing that needs to take place in order to get back to safety mentally, safety emotionally, and safety in a place in an academic environment, and even my own healing, right? It takes a lot to do this work. And so attending the healing on all levels has kind of been my priority all summer. I recognize that as my utmost priority.
Thank you, Tameca. I heard you say something that was so special. You have to also take into account your own healing as a teacher. And that is very true. Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Deseree, you'd like to answer that same question? How does this 2021 year return to school look different to you?
It's different in so many ways. Coming from that early childhood perspective, currently in professional development right now, all my years in the classroom, this is definitely new. It doesn't look the same. It's like starting fresh. One thing I will say is what is going to be different is the social emotional connection or development that we normally give our younger children the opportunity to explore, to grow, to learn how to problem solve, learn how to work with each other. That will be different because of the distance that they're going to have. So they're going to either be, depending on the school, 3 feet to maybe 6 feet away. So simple things as playing in centers or learning how to share is going to be different. Even sitting on the carpet is taken out of the schools as we speak. I can only speak from the school I'm at, but I'm pretty sure schools may follow in different ways. So that whole, getting to know your peers, getting to, interact and do different things with them is definitely going to be different. And so that's one thing I can see. Another thing is, face coverings, we have to wear masks. Masks will be incorporated into the schools, again, depending on the schools, but I can, speak for mine. And so students are being able to see adults and other peers like this. And so sometimes that can, depending on the child, so far as building a relationship and rapport, they may seem a little hesitant because they're trying to get to know and, their teachers and their friends, and they only seeing, just your eyes. So that can be a little nerve-wracking for the younger ones. But we're trying, schools are trying their very best at navigating different ways to make it, the best school experiences for them. But the social distancing is real. The face coverings is real. And, that social development piece where they get to interact is definitely going to look different.
I can only imagine, especially for the younger ones. That's humongous. Miss Jocelyn, what advice would you give?
They stole my answers, Mom.
They stole all of them?
They stole my answers, no, but I think coming from the educator's perspective, tending to the achievement gaps. They've been there before, but I think this upcoming year, just to kind of put things into perspective, I have 6th graders who are coming in, whose last full year in the building was when they were in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Their full school year in a building was when they were in the 3rd grade. Now here they are in middle school for the very first time. The middle school is so much bigger. The classes are so much longer. Their load is so much heavier. So tending to that learning gap, that social emotional gap that you were talking about earlier is going to be huge this year. Not just for the students, but also for the teachers. You have many different anxiety levels from different teachers about the face coverings, about coming into a building where all the students are there. So that's something that's going to look a little bit different. And something that I've been working on is just how I plan on showing up, even in the midst of all of that.
Well, I can already tell that all three of you have bravery all across your chest, in addition to intelligence. And that social emotional piece is bigger than I think any educator knows, because you have to really go in feet flat-footed and find out for yourself where the students are and where the parents are. Question number 2, thank you ladies for that. Question number 2, what advice would you like to give parents concerned about the return to in-person learning? If you could just give them one major piece of advice, what would that be? Tameca?
I say someone else go first. No, I'm kidding, Mom.
You know I know you better.
Oh goodness. I think that if I had to give advice to a parent concerned about returning to school,
In-person learning.
I think it's important that that parent honor their own intuitions and process what it means as their child's chief decision maker. If honor those intuitions, explore alternatives as you need to, look at options for your household. But then I would encourage you to, beyond honoring your intuitions, get your research in. Understand the layers of prevention that schools are going to put in place to enable safety. Recognize you cannot shelter your child from this, that they have to live through it, and own informing your child of how to navigate the new environment without you. Practice wearing the mask at the house. Watch how he engages with siblings, right? Or play dates that come over. Pay attention. How often does he wash his hands? Build habits now so that you can feel a little more comfortable releasing your child back into the school.
That's so good. That's really good and important. What do you say, Ms. Deseree? What advice would you give to parents who are concerned about their child returning to in-person learning?
I speak as a mother and as an educator, so I know both. And so I have learned to have patience. This is ongoing. This is not something that the schools have all the answers to, because things are always changing.
Yeah.
So you have to have patience. I would like Tameca has just said, do your research, but also do the practice, like she mentioned. You can start as early as with your 3-year-olds, your 4-year-olds, as all the way up to high school, practicing. I mean, at some point they have had practice wearing a mask, going somewhere.
That's right.
So you want to continue that. Again, practice washing your hands, practicing staying a certain distance away, because all that's going to play out in the schools. Go to the schools, talk to the principals, talk to the teachers, get information for yourself. That's what I do. If I can't physically go in, I'm calling, I'm emailing, because it helps with my comfort as a parent. So that's what, I understand, for my parents who are coming in, I give them that. I give them information as much as I know. And if I don't know, and sometimes we will not know. That's the reality. Sometimes we will not know, and we're waiting. We're not going to have all the answers. So you're just going to have patience as much as possible. That's the biggest thing I'm learning. And I would suggest, because it's not going to go, it's not school as we knew it before.
No.
It's totally not.
And never will be. Never will be. I heard you say a whole lot. And the main thing you said about not knowing and not being afraid to say, I don't know. But then be able to maybe refer them to someone who may know maybe a little more than what you know. Okay, that was good. Thank you, Desiree. All right, Miss Jocelyn, you ready?
Okay, so they really did steal my answer this time.
Okay, really good. Okay, I want y'all to stop stealing.
Stop stealing my answer. All right.
Maybe I'll start with you for the third question. I'll start with you.
Oh no, don't worry about that.
No, look, I was trained by my mentor said, don't complain without making some recommendations.
Right. Solutions. All right. So I think for parents, like Desiree was saying, being flexible is going to be huge this school year, especially for these first couple of months.
Mhm.
We'll be in the building. But to be 100% honest, we don't know what that's going to look like. We've never done this before. We've never taught a classroom of 20 to 30 students with masks on, not being able to hear every word they're saying. I do recommend for parents to not just train their children to wear masks, but train them to articulate their words under the masks, because in the classroom, that's going to be huge. Sometimes there will be children, or students rather, who are speaking at the same time, and it's going to get interesting with the masks on. So just a little bit of training, it's not anything formal, but just, some sort of reminder for the students to articulate under the mask. I know for me, I'm doing the 6th grade boot camp now for my school, and I don't understand everything they're saying. I do my best, but my ears aren't as good as they used to be. Yeah. But having those kids articulate is really, really helpful. I want to also to remind the parents, like Desiree was saying, kind of be patient. Don't be frustrated with the educators. We are new to this, just like you are. So have some grace.
I see it as another way of helping the younger children practice their phonics.
Absolutely.
Sounding out. That's how I see it also.
Real life phonics.
Right, exactly. Good reading practice. Number 3. You all are really fantastic. I love you all. Number 3. What are your essential, moving up higher now, what are your essential preparations you feel parents should be making right now? Essential. Maybe the top. My elementary school teachers used to have one hand, 5, no more than 5. What are your top essential preparations would you say parents need to make right now? Tameca, what you think?
I think if I had to offer my essentials to families, the first thing I would ask parents to do is to be self-aware. Be aware of even how your anxieties transmit to your children, right? Like these are essentials. You told me to name the essentials. And I think that is like my number one. Be self-aware. I always look at students and know how the household feels about me as the classroom teacher based on my experience and encounter with the child, because no behavior comes out of thin air. They've adopted a mindset from somewhere, right? The next thing I would say is to be mindful at home. We've been in a state of flux. It's been summer. Recognize that environment matters. Clean up, like put the house in a position to where structure and learning can thrive, right? And that shows that you prioritize academics, even in your home. Pay attention to the environment, look at it in a different way, and evaluate whether or not your physical space says to that brain, your child's brain, that we're shifting into a serious season. Things are different, but we're going to get through it. Doing that for yourself, even, it will help the family just adapt.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 3. I'm gonna give you 3.
I love it. Come on with it. Come on.
I'm gonna give you 3.
Don't give me Jocelyn's. That's all.
This is where she steals the answers. This is it.
Okay, I'm gonna say begin to reduce distractions and require responsibility.
Mm.
Period.
Mhm.
Lady Deseree.
Mhm.
All right.
Come on.
As she was speaking, I was like,
I was writing. Go ahead.
okay. So communication is important.
Yeah.
Communication is important. This, if you have not communicated with your child, not saying you don't, but it's really critical. Communication with your child at home prior to school is more critical, I would say, than ever this school year. You want to do the practice and some work at home.
Mhm.
And a lot of parents and families, when their child was home virtually, oh, we love the teachers. We see how much yes, that's not going to stop.
Yeah.
Because like Jocelyn has said, there is that learning gap. You must know, and even as me as a parent, I knew that my children and I knew my students lost something because things had to be modified. We couldn't go in deep or invest as we would have as we was in school. So that partnership is still a must. You're still going to have to do the work at home, families. You're still going to have to pick up because we're trying our best to catch up, and it's the amount, depending on the grade level, on all grade levels. It doesn't even matter, on all grade levels is more than ever. So the practice of being safe at home, having conversations where you're not putting your fears on your child, but you're being able to let them be heard and express themselves and know that things are different. And as we're coaching them and guiding them, letting them know that it's okay, please do the same at home. Mm-hmm. And also be honest if it is scary, because they're going to say some things are scary, or somebody sneezed on me, or this happened, or why is our whole class gone? Quarantine for 14 or 10 days. That's reality. Yeah. That could possibly happen. So have conversations, because the schools are going to have it. But as parents or as families, you are right there with your child, with your children. Have them at home first so that it won't be unfamiliar. Yeah. It won't be scary, talking through it. And then, and I'm going to kind of circle back, doing the work at home. I'm not saying some families don't, but more than ever, that's still needed, even more. Because, like teachers, we all know we can't do it all, but right now we're, the responsibilities to have the close gaps, to make gains. We just had a meeting. We went 90% of students here, at on this level and that level. We're trying our best, and we have our classrooms full, the 30 students, and they all have to be 3 feet away. It gets kind of tricky. It gets kind of tricky. So
I'm beyond the word tricky now. I'm like, how in the world, really and truly, especially the little ones.
So communicate, practice, and then again, like you said to me, don't put your fears on them. Be real, but this is something that you want them to go back in person. Then make it a pleasant experience, because if you make it as much as possible, they will have a better experience in all of this.
Thank you, Ms. Deseree. Okay, Ms. Josie.
All right, I am going to encourage parents. So teachers and professional development coordinators spend a lot of time putting information together that will help you to navigate through the school year. And you get a plethora of information, like in the beginning of the year, like newsletters, updates, whatever your learning management system is. I encourage parents to, although it's a lot, it's lengthy, read that information, engage that information, reach out to the necessary people if you have questions and concerns. Do not wait until the second month of school or the third month of school. I really encourage parents to just stay engaged, stay involved with the school year. There are going to be some twists and turns probably in this upcoming school year, and it's going to be important that you're not left in the dark when those moments come. And then I'm also going to say, I don't think anybody said this yet. I'm going to say, make sure you have plenty of hand sanitizer, masks. Make sure you have extra school materials. We say that all the time every year, but this year even more, because the less sharing that we have to do, the more we can trace, and we don't have to worry about anything spreading in the event that there's somebody who's infected. And so just having extra pencils, because we will have them, but they will be shared amongst all the students. So it's going to be beneficial that you have an overload, like a storage space of extra materials.
That's a thought. I just came to my mind. Will the students can only use the materials that they bring from home, or does the school have to supply the pencil, the pens, and everything that will have to be sanitized? I'm just throwing out a question. I don't know. Anybody can answer.
I know. Oh, go ahead, Deseree.
It depends. Just speaking from my school, there will be pencils and things that teachers will have, in bulk as much as possible. But just like you said, Jocelyn, much as you want to make sure that, if you feel comfortable with your child using those things and you're okay with that, then okay. But if you want to have they have their own pencil case and their own materials, it is welcome. We're not going to say no. We will welcome that. It even comes down to lockers or cubbies, sharing those things. We're currently still trying to figure out how we're going to do that. When you have, a large enrollment and you still have to implement what CDC says or what the state says, depending on what school that you're in. So I would say some things can, and then some things may not be, but we're not going against, parents' wishes. If you wish your child to have certain things, like only use these things, that's definitely encouraged, because just like Jocelyn said, things have to be traced back. That is definitely real. If a classroom, unfortunately gets quarantined, we're tracing back everything, so.
And
go ahead, Jocelyn.
I was just gonna add on one more thing. I know that in my classroom in particular, I'm trying to go as paperless as I possibly can, because most students have been issued a device for the school year. And so one major thing that I run across often is students' devices aren't charged. So I would encourage parents to make sure, if your school or your district is offering those devices, that you make sure that they're charged every night.
Good responses. Tameca, did you have anything to add to that one? That was an impromptu, for real.
Not at all. I think those ladies stated perfectly.
All right. I want to take a brief interjection and go to an article that popped up on my phone about a week ago, maybe. And I said, wow, this would be a good conversation to bring up at the forum today. So I'm gonna read just a little bit, but basically it's entitled "How to Tell If Your Child Contracted COVID-19 or the Common Cold." And this was an article from CNN, and it was written by their medical analyst by the name of Dr. Leanna Nguyen. I don't know if you all heard of her from CNN, but this is what she says, and then I want your comments on it. As an educator to the parents, what would you say? Here we go. Common colds share many symptoms of the coronavirus. So if your child becomes ill as the school year gets underway, it might be difficult to immediately tell whether it's COVID-19. And that's simply because, well, adults catch the common cold around maybe 2 to 3 times a year, and children get it even more frequently just from being in school. So the question is all around as the topic of those common symptoms Do you know what they are? And if not, I can mention a couple to them. They say, for example, if you have, turn the page, a sore throat. These are common for both sore throat, fatigue, and a headache. And also, she mentioned coughing is another common symptom, but for both viruses, but the COVID-19 cough tends to be drier. What would you recommend or suggest to parents for this school year as protocols, or does your school have protocols in place for things like that? What would your comments be? Johnson, I'm gonna start with you this time.
I'm going to say keep them home. If there is, I know for our school has a sign on the front door that says you have any of these symptoms, whether it be a cough, a small cough, dry cough, wet cough, whatever kind of cough, just keep the coughs home, just to eliminate any possible spread of the virus. We don't know, and we don't want to risk it. We don't want to chance it. So I recommend personally just staying home.
Okay, and a quick question, has your school sent out notice to parents, or have parents been invited by way of Zoom for them to have a meeting with the administration and teachers yet for this school year?
So they're having them next week. We have orientation for 6th graders and 7th graders, and then we have open house for all the schools, for all the students. So they are definitely going to be invited to hear the guidelines and, learn how to take precaution.
Okay, thank you, thank you. What about you, Deseree?
Yes, we do have things in place. And we were talking about it yesterday and the day before that. So our school goal is to have them in as much as possible with testing at school. So we're really asking families, there's a form they have to fill out because we need their permission. We will have the testing kits, the rapid tests, right there at the school. So we can decipher whether this is just a code or whether you have it. We want to, and that's with not only with students, that's with staff, that's whoever is in the building for a certain period of time. And so you have like the regular nurse where, the nurse will just base off of children and political things that goes into nature. She will not deal with COVID. We had to get someone, a specialist to come in who deals with COVID, who can actually administer the test daily. Even right now, we do have like staff who, for their own personal reasons, do not want to get vaccinated. So they are being tested daily. There are things, I'm so sorry, there are protocols, that are in place. But for students, we are going to test with permission on site. So we're encouraging a lot of our families to please sign that form because our school is from preschool to 3rd. And so a lot of that population will not have that vaccination as of right now. And so it is really critical for us to make sure that we can get testing immediately, because all teachers know, and I have been a victim of the common cold, one sneeze, one cough, and you're going home. And so in order to keep everybody safe, everybody will be tested because we'll have those things there for them.
Oh, thank you for that. And I'm gonna go to Tameca in 1 second, but I want to say this before I forget, because these are also questions that will come up under the umbrella of mental health, because the parents need to have an ease of mind so all this more anxiety unnecessary won't rise up. So that's important, Jocelyn. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm praying that all the parents will come to the meetings and do everything that they're supposed to do in order to alleviate anxiety, stress, which leads to mental health issues. Thank you, Deseree. Deseree, DC Public Schools or Prince George's now? Where are you now?
Still in the district, but it's the charter, DC Prep charter.
Gotcha. All right. Ms. Tameca, what would you tell the parents about that?
I can say that I have participated in COVID training over the summer, and I was not trained to discern between coughs. And working with children over the summer, I recognize that there is like the dry cough, the asthmatic cough, the phlegm-filled cough. I defer. If there's a cough, I defer all further judgments to the front office and allow them to process and work through. And I mean, I'll give you a cough, but that second, third cough, we had some challenges. You may be a strangle cough. I'll give you that. I'll give you a moment. But I think I can speak personally. I think as a classroom teacher, it is my responsibility to act in the best interest of all the children. And it is not an accusation on any one child to have that suspicion and to practice that safeguard of asking the child to go get further checked. And so I think that is an added layer of safety, because we are just living in a time where a trigger for stress is a cough.
That's right.
And that's very real. On a personal level, I know that it is a commitment to be present on a daily basis, even with my vaccination. And just for my own sanity and stress relief, I'm going to ask that the child be, evaluated for further symptoms, and just give me the affirmation that they're okay to be back. Oh, it is asthma. Okay, come on. Help me understand. Even there's so many variables you can't really tell. But yeah, it's tricky.
Yes, it is. But you have to be observant, don't you?
I would say really quickly, that's where families, if anything, because my children has asthma, and those are things that I'm thinking about, because I know if I hear a cough, I'm like, oh, do I take that fast?
Right.
So that is real. So that's where you can begin to advocate. You don't want to wait. I'm just not that parent that waits. And so you really want to put it out there, to the teachers, email, like my child has asthma, or, they have a seasonal, whatever, put it out there, because, quite frankly, the teachers, like you said, they have to make the best judgment. And, the protocol is to send to this place, to the nurse or wherever it may be, so that we know they're clear, because that's what we're dealing with. We have to make sure safety is the top priority. Yeah. If it hasn't been, it's definitely top priority.
It is now.
Down to the T, like a little, wait a second, are you okay?
Yes.
So this is where you begin to advocate and make sure that you communicate to the school, to the teacher, to the school nurse of any health concerns your child may have, so that, it's on record and they cannot get mixed up with, like things such as COVID. So.
Yeah. And the kids will tend to get colds still, and that's the truth. That's about that. But you have to be very, very cognizant of what's going on in your room. And how many of you will have aides in your room? Teacher aides. Okay, let me go on to the next question.
What's an aide?
Teacher aides. They use, that's old school. Professional, what do they call them now? Something different?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I'm gonna get you later, Jocelyn. All right. Now it goes to part 2, where I have individual questions to ask each of you a different question. And guess who goes first? Desiree. All right, Desiree, here's yours, specifically just for you. As someone who works with the younger populations, and I've seen you work from kindergarten up, what are you hoping parents understand and or implement with their child before school begins? And I know you all hit on some of these earlier, but now is the time, Desi, to maybe re-emphasize something that just sticks out to you.
You want to communicate. You want to communicate with the school. You want to communicate with the child's teacher. You want to know, what do the school have in place for this school year? So you don't want to wait for the school. I highly suggest you do that on your own. You just get that information so that you can be clear, because that's what your child will be exposed to, whatever protocols and procedures that school, that classroom, that teacher has. Second, you want to practice at home, because it will be a routine. We're going to make it a routine daily. So when they come in, they automatically know. Be prepared. However you imagine school, if you haven't, if this is your child, they're in preschool, they 3, or they're going to first grade, however you imagine from 2019 on is not the same. We're even asking families to stop at the front. We'll take your little one and we will go. We would take them down to, there's not the pop coming into the school building, and the school building is a very social atmosphere. It's not going to look that way. So prepare yourself, prepare your child at home. Practice wearing the mask. Practice wearing the mask. Have them practice now. Oh, we're going to go on a long car ride, or we're going to put our mask on for fun while we make breakfast, or whatever you want to do, make a game out of it. I don't know. How long can you keep your mask on? Make sure they know that they need to cover their nose and their mouth. It's not just, you don't have your nose exposed. That's really important.
Yeah, it is.
You want to make sure little things matter. Make sure that their masks fit. Have multiple masks in their book bags.
Oh, that's good.
We're going to have it, but my children are going to middle and high school. I'm going to still put extra masks, and I'm bought it in bulk because that makes me feel secure.
That's
so you
good.
want to feel secure. You want to feel comfortable because they're not going to be where they've been with you for 18 months. They're coming into a community where it's different. You have to prepare yourself for school not being as we knew it in 2019 and so forth. So little things are going to change. Be prepared that your child may be tested. If you get permission, or it's just so many things. But I would say communicate. I would say get information for yourself. And I would say do the practice, do the footwork at home. Do that before they come in. They'll make a bigger benefit for them just coming into school, and for yourself, so that you can have peace.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Thank you. Miss Mika?
Yes, ma'am.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready.
All right. You're not going to fall out, are you?
I'm not.
All right. How do parents participating in hybrid learning keep up? How do they keep up? It's so much. What would you tell them?
Well, I would give them a bright side. I would say, recognize that everybody who's coming back has a new norm to figure out. You got some space right there to adapt and acclimate to the online platform. At least there's that element of familiarity that you have going into your school year that gives you time to acclimate. So that's a bright side to me, right? Everybody else has got to figure out a lot of new stuff. And it feels like that. You see that?
Right advantage. Yeah.
Yes. And I would say it is so important to declutter life. Don't just start school on top of everything that life is doing. You got to take something out, reduce activity. You've got to create space to prioritize education. And then if you demand excellence, model it. So here's the thing. Do not expect your child to complete all of their assignments, be online on time every day. And when it's lunchtime, lunch ain't ready. The pizza just went in the oven. I have snack at 10. I didn't get anything, right? I'm supposed to go out for a walk, but nobody's here to let me right there. At my break, I need something to do. So model excellence if you're going to expect it. Like, you have to do the journey with your child. I think if there's going to be anything else that you can do in order to prepare, in order to keep up with online learning, it's to go slow, start slow in order to go fast, right? You gotta maintain consistency in training new behaviors. It is unrealistic. Separate cognitive processes, right? So Physical space setup. My laptop got to be charged or plugged in. I need to make sure I have all of my subject materials. I need to be sure I know how to navigate the technology platform. All of those are separate cognitive processes. Don't ram them down your child's throat the first day of school. Not only are you practicing wearing your mask or doing different things, if you're online, you need to start practicing getting up and being punctual. That's our focus for today, or maintaining a schedule that's doable, not spending too much time on work or too little. These are things that you can do to keep up. End the school day at home. Don't do work 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. In the school day. And that structured regimen.
I'm so glad we will be able to look back over this at a later date, because it's just too much. You should see all my notes I've written down. Trying to just, that's a habit.
Me too, Ma.
Look, I'm a habit. But I want to really and truly, this ends our forum for this time, but I don't know how to say thank you.
I think
Jocelyn? She think I forgot her. So Jocelyn, now before we end, she's going to answer that last question too. Here's yours, Jocelyn. So you gave it away with your smile. Jocelyn, with the middle school and high school populations, you know, I did junior high school, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. That's finally gone out the window. But Jocelyn, with the middle school and high school populations, what were the biggest pitfalls, oh my goodness, last year? And how can parents avoid them this year? This is a humongous question.
Thank you for including me on that ending question, Mika. I appreciate you and my dad.
You know we got to hear from you.
That's teamwork for real. Okay.
Collaboration. I want to say the biggest pitfall from last year was that students and even some parents didn't think that it was the real thing. Because we extended so much grace, they did not also operate in using their grit, you know, getting through assignments, getting through the hard moments, submitting work on time, putting their best foot forward. And so a lot of students didn't get the grades that they could have gotten because they thought it was, you know, just a time, because we were hybrid for a little bit of the school year. We were in the building for a little bit. So it felt so unnormal and just not what they were used to. But I want to encourage students and parents to understand that although it looks different, it feels different, the end result is still going to be your grade. Your outcome is still important. So let's remember that it looks different, it feels different, but those grades they're way the same. So let's get our work in.
That's good. I heard a lot of that from a lot of parents just in my neighborhood, just in conversation. A lot of students took it for granted. You know, it wasn't real to them. So we're going to continue to pray about that. But now I can say, I thank you all for your yes tonight. I don't know about you, but I have enjoyed just seeing your faces, number one. And then number two, the answers that you gave tonight to help our parents. I pray that you have a wonderfully blessed and safe school year. And I pray that the children we declare and decree that they will do better this year. In Jesus' name. And I want to thank you again for putting up with me. These are just some quick things I wrote down. Jocelyn, you're going to be proud of me, and Tameca, especially Tameca. Parents, observe class procedures. Follow up with the teachers with their class procedures and classroom management. Practice those at home. Prioritize education. We need healing. There has to be safety rules involved. Model excellence. Declutter life. End the school day at home. Look out for social emotional issues. Stay connected. Have patience. Practice at home. Watch out for communication disconnects. Reconnect with your child's teachers and administrators. Be honest with your children. Be flexible. Speak clearly with your mask on. Practice with the children. Don't transmit your anxieties onto the children. Responsibility. You are responsible and your coaches. So I want to end with reminding the parents in general, don't ever forget that as the parent, you are your child's first and foremost teacher. You're the parent, but you're also their teacher, their role models, their coaches. They look to you for everything. So you can't be everything, but just be your best you, because they will be watching. Again, thank you, educators. We have the best educators in the gathering force in the whole wide world. We have the best. So thank you, and you all, God bless you. Have a good night. I love you. We're ending now. Thank you.